Let's do the weekly astrology for November 10th through 16th, 2024. This week, life can feel as if you are on a haunted Ferris wheel. The energies move from high to low, windy to calm, the duality playing out in ways that you did not think were even possible. If one is awake and aware enough to notice what lies behind the curtain of such intense emotions that are playing out, you will see massive contradictions in many ways and in every field. It is up to each of us individually to find our own personal path through this minefield that lies ahead of us. November 10th, the moon goes into Pisces. We are called to a new level of depth and personal responsibility. If we are wise, we understand there are those that will take all the safeties off this ride, and we are going to have to realize that every choice and action from this point on will be up to us and no one else. We are going to get no buffer to our choices, and that will make us learn hard lessons if we make even the slightest miscalculation. That awareness is slowly sinking in, and that can cause sensitive people to panic. Panic is not the way to solve anything, though. It is better to realize that no one is going to have your best interests at heart. It will be fully up to each of us to walk our own path and find our own truth. November 11th, Venus goes into Capricorn. As a famous astrologer said, the planets are always in motion. Nothing in this world is ever really fixed or stable. The planets are constantly in motion, twirling around the sun and us. We are just players in this cosmic game if we learn to dance with the various energies that push and pull on our souls and psyche. Venus looks at what we value. She points us to look in the mirror and see the desires we have hidden in the shadows. She quickly moves around the zodiac, and as she is so close to the sun, and she is now deciding to take us on a new ride. She hints at the fact that we are in a physical world and have a physical body. She supports us leaning into doing what we find has value in the most practical of senses. She reminds us that while dreams can become the reality, the time it takes to manifest those dreams into the physical world can take a very long time, and it is important to create a plan and move consistently through that plan. November 12th, the moon goes into Aries. This moon going into Aries can light a few fires. I hope those fires are fires of hope and creative expression. I fear that those fires might be much more dangerous and directed at those that do not deserve it. We are to learn more about the aggressive undercurrents that exist in the human brain. We're going to learn firsthand about those tendencies for many more years to come. October 14th, the moon goes into Taurus. The moon will move into Taurus this day. For some, that will be a place where stubbornness locks down and finds a place to sit and perhaps fester. Turn this emotional trend into constructive use for helping others. Reach out and give to those who seem to be needing some nurturing and support. We all need a bit of help every once in a while. November 15th, Saturn finally moves directly, and there is a full moon in Taurus. As Saturn winds down its 4-month sojourn backward, today it appears still in the sky, setting the new tone for when it goes forward on November 15th, 2024. Saturn in Pisces can put all of us through our paces. Saturn can make things hard, not because it wants to, but to show us where we have situations that are not going to be able to stand the test of time. In this case, Saturn in Pisces has muddied the emotional waters and has turned what seemed clear into confusion and chaos. It intends to teach us about what happens when ambition takes control. There's a lack of structure and discipline. Saturn teaches the hard lessons of karma and requires much of us in the areas of figuring out how to balance our time with our work. It helps us to find new sources of inner and outer resilience and puts all events squarely on our shoulders, as it is a planet that demands accountability and responsibility. We are being pulled ever more inward. We are going to be required to untangle that patterns that limit our ability to bring our visions into reality. Many will feel as if they have to have a few new boundaries with others on the outer level. On the inner level, we recognize that we need to seek answers from the spiritual and sacred side of our being. As Saturn moves forward, we are going to look at what we want to build now, but whatever that is, it is not anything that we have worked with before. Think of Pisces as water and Saturn as the earth. When enough water pours onto the earth, new things spring forth. Seeds long dormant awaken, and things not now seem now seem set to emerge to express their color and beauty. This aspect tries to bring the sacred into our daily life. It reminds us that what we create must be connected deeply to our own spirit and soul. We also today have a full moon in Taurus, and this pulls us to make things even more simple. It is time to establish a new routine that will give us solace and healing. It is time to address the needs of our body and mind. It is a time to close the old playbook and throw it in the garbage. Everything is going to need to be new. We are asked to speak softly to our body and to learn to finally listen. This full moon in Taurus is also trying to figure out how to work with the chaotic and rebellious energy of Uranus in Taurus. Uranus reminds us that the wildness inside is still alive and kicking. As Uranus is winding up its stay in Taurus on June 7th, 2025, we are in the last bits of insight into looking at how our loyalty might be keeping us from being fully alive. Safety is never found externally in the world. Such a belief is an illusion. The only real safety comes from deep internal knowing, one that is ready to change and adapt. Happiness is a constantly changing equation, but when you know yourself, you recognize that happiness is a choice and not an external circumstance. November 16th, the sun goes into opposition with Uranus and the moon will go into Gemini. The polarity is strong and will be felt with this sun in opposition to Uranus. It can feel like those horns that were blown on the battlefields by the Celts that were so very loud and haunting. That sound was designed to intimidate and warn opposing forces of the power and unity of the enemy. Blowing a horn was always a call to freedom and to tell others that there were those willing to fight for that freedom. This day points out that our old lives are now too small and congested to work well. There is a new identity and structure calling us to be bigger. Our old reality is too small to hold what is needed and asking to be born. This is a moment for personal freedom, not the freedom that liberates a country, but a freedom that liberates us from the patterns that clearly no longer will serve or work for us. This month, we juggle how to hold stability in a world when we are in a place where there are those that intend to break us out of the old confines and the old safety nets. While freedoms exist on the other side, what will happen to those that are intellectually not able to survive and thrive in such an untethered world? The only choice is to believe in yourself. Only by being tested in such a way can some discover who they actually are and what they truly want. Thanks, everyone.